Welcome, everybody. That's it. It is working. Fantastic. Thank you. Great to see you all. Don't be shy. Those of you at the back, if you want to come down and get a bit closer to the action, don't have to sit at the back up there, but it's good to see you all. Hope you had a good lunch. Hope you all enjoyed the Lunch and Learn EUDR sessions that were set up. And thank you for coming to what these guys assure me is the highlight of the 2 days. And particularly because I have the pleasure of co-moderating with Max Schneider. Thanks, Max, for inviting me to join you in the moderation. To remind you, this is an event which took place last year, which was a next-gen hosted sustainability contest, and we're going to have a similar format this year. In a moment, I'm going to ask Max a little bit how last year played out and what you've built on this year. But I also wanted to make sure that we connect this into the bigger picture and the theme for our 2 days together, Fueling the Future, that there are new demands on the coffee sector, coming either from the consumer point of view and the market dynamics, or indeed from the regulatory frameworks, and that those demands are requiring us to think differently about the kind of supply chains we're building and the way that we service them. So we'll pick up that theme, some of the themes. Hopefully some of you were there this morning when we had the chance to talk with Philippe Navratil, CEO of Nespresso, and some other CEOs on our sort of launch CEO dialogue panel. And I guess we'll pick up some of those themes as we go through the day. First, I'd like to also say a big thank you to the sponsors. I'm not sure, I think there's a slide. Here you go. So some specific sponsors who've generously and kindly supported this platform and this initiative. And for them, I'd like a great big round of applause and thank you. It's so good to see those organizations investing in the future of the sector and into the next-gen organization. I'd like to thank very much the SCTA Next Gen Council. And with that, I'm going to introduce you to Max. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to ask you some questions, Max.
Go ahead.
Then afterwards, I know that you're going to be working with me on the moderation. First of all, I'd like you just to share with us all. We've only got 45 minutes, so we all need to keep quite punchy with our timings on this. Share a little bit, how this contest came to be and how it's sort of panned out and developed, and how you're feeling about that as the next gen.
Right. Okay. My microphone is also working. Fantastic.
Very good.
Welcome from the SCTA Next Gen Council. Thanks for bringing up the question. It's actually the second sustainability contest, as we can see on the screen, and as you pointed out. We were very happy with how the first one went, but with everything in life you can improve, and we tried to do this year. So last year we received over 30 applications, and this year was a pretty similar number.
Great.
We have a good expertise on the council already on sustainability. We have then narrowed it down to a top 7. With the top 7, we then went to our sponsors. I'm going to be talking about them in a minute here as well. And with their sustainability departments, we then again narrowed it down to the top 3 finalists that we can see here today. We did this using a scoring-based system based on criteria. I'm not going to go into detail, but based on feasibility, on how it is linked to fueling the future of coffee, right? The overall theme, we're talking about innovation, the impact, etc.
And great, that sounds like a fantastic process. Were there any things in particular that you learned from doing that the first time last year that you've optimized for the second year? Or
right, so we wanted to involve the sponsors a bit more this time.
Yeah.
We felt like bringing up the scorecard I was just talking about made the whole process more feasible, more repeatable, so we can look at the next year, we can look back and work on that. And we actually got 6 more sponsors, 15 sponsors in total.
Brilliant.
We are incredibly grateful and happy to have these sponsors. I'm going to read them out quickly, and I have to apologize. I need to look at my paper because there are just so many great companies. It's the SCTA, it's JDE Peet's, Touton, Ecom, Dahlmeier, Hamburg Coffee Company, Louis Dreyfus, Terracor, Enveritas, Sucafina, UCC, Vidia, Coric, Dr. Pepper, OFI, and the Coffee Trading Academy. They have not only put in cash, but they have also contributed with the seats at the dinner tomorrow, with origin tours, with consultancy, and many more. Can we please put the hands together one more time for these amazing sponsors?
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Max. That's great. And so I suppose what I'd be interested in is how the people in the room here, and indeed every participant at the forum, can get involved and choose the enterprise that kind of resonates most with what they see. Could you tell us a bit about how they use the app or how they do that?
Everyone here should have the app installed, I hope. Otherwise, you probably couldn't get in, but let's see about that. you can click on calendar. We are in the meeting right now, in the panel discussion right now. Scroll all the way down to go to pick your winner, your top 3 or your finalists that you want to vote for. And it's all the way at the bottom of the sustainability contest, and you can find that in the calendar. Right? There's 1 vote per person, and encourage you to vote on that for your winner.
Thank you. And I suppose before, really, we should congratulate all 3 of you and your ventures that you're being presenting to us to get to this stage. So fantastic. Great to have you here. I think everything you're doing is brilliant and worthy of support. But again, as part of the voting system and the contest, there will be 1 nominated winner. But let's also then get to that a little bit later. But I think before we do that, Max, maybe just go back a little bit a year.
Exactly.
And share with us what happened last year and a bit of an update and a report on last year's winner.
Last year we had, again, 3 amazing finalists, Uganda, Peru, and Indonesia. Tommy, who's in the audience here today, can you stand up for a second? So, Tommy with Protein won the contest last year, and he prepared a quick video that we want you to take a look at and see how his progress has been over the year.
First SCTA, Next Gen Sustainability Contest. The winner is Protein of Uganda.
Hi everyone, my name is Tommy and I'm the winner of last year's SCTA Next Gen Sustainability Contest. Currently we're here in Rwanda, which is part of the prize that we won actually. So Sukafina is giving us a tour of multiple washing stations, which is really amazing. And also as a company, Marula Protein, we've been really fortunate that because of the exposure of SCTA, actually we're now working with Ruokov, which is Sukafina, and we're very, very excited.
Fantastic, great, and great to have you here, Tommy. So if you want to find out more, you know where to go. Go and talk to Tommy in the break straight after this event. But I think without any further ado, Max, I'm going to hand over to you, and you're going to present to us this year's 3 nominated finalists.
Great. So we were in Uganda. We stay in Uganda. This time with Luisa Marie-Truss from Elucid. Also here, we are going to see a...
Health is a human right.
Oh, some technical problems. Exactly. Here we are. We're also going to see a 1-minute video of what we can expect from Elucid. But here we go.
Health is a human right. Yet most coffee farmers in Uganda lack access to health insurance. This puts farming households at great risk of being pushed into extreme poverty and be kept in a cycle of poor health and low productivity. Disadvantaged groups like children and women are particularly at risk, reducing production capacity and endangering family resilience. To change that, Elucid partnered with the Ankole Coffee Producers Cooperative in Uganda to enroll 1,120 farming households into a health program covering essential and emergency care, including transportation to hospitals. Our offline-first digital platform ensures secure and transparent enrollment and payment management. Farmers can also use our digital wallet to save for healthcare or other targets like education and receive direct sustainability premiums. This boosts household income by reducing health costs and sick days, encouraging investments in farm and labor, and reducing negative coping mechanisms like child labor and illegal logging. Our data portal tracks all this data in real time, integrating health and socioeconomic data to prove sustainability claims. Together, we are building a healthier foundation for farmers and are fueling the future for the coffee supply chain.
Yes, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for having me again, actually. I was here last year, and who would have known it's time to come again? I think I can, yeah, you should be able to see the presentation. So I would like to introduce to you Enid. She's a 2nd-generation coffee farmer from Uganda. And like many others, she lacks access to health insurance. Yet, health costs are unavoidable. So when her family falls ill, they have to pay in cash out of their pocket. Why is this happening? because Uganda lacks a national health insurance infrastructure. And private insurance is oftentimes either too expensive or not available at local or rural areas. So this means families like Enid have to pay and bear the full burden of the medical costs themselves. Unfortunately, Enid's story is all too common. 98% of farmers in Uganda do not have any access to health insurance. And 40%, or a bit more than 40%, live below the international poverty line. Now, imagine what happens when a health emergency strikes. Either a family has to forego care and risk death, or they have to spend everything they have, assets, land, and even sell coffee early, and are being pushed further into poverty just because they bear the medical costs. And here's the reality. It actually affects 25% of the farmers you work with in Uganda every year. And why does it matter to your business? Because you rely on healthy farmers for your coffee supply. But when illness strikes, the consequences are devastating. Farmers are unable to work because they have things to take care of. They have to get ready. They have to get better. They also are unlikely to invest into their farm because they bear the medical cost and cannot earn more because they're unable to work. Also, when the financial pressure rises, so does the reliance on child labor, because families struggle to make up for their lost income, putting your supply chain at risk. Now think about it. Oh, sorry. Now think about it. What happens when you're sick? How does it impact your ability to work? If you're privileged like I am, probably not too much. Because when you're ill, you get treated, and you don't have to worry about the cost, because health insurance pays. But for these farmers, simple illness doesn't just affect their health. It affects their entire livelihood, and in turn, your supply chain. There's a slide missing, but I can tell you, so we are here to change that. So using Elucid's offline-first technology, we built on the existing national health infrastructure and address the gaps in the public system. So how it works is that the impact is fully traceable. So through the Elucid data portal, we offer real-time insights into the health and livelihood improvement you have. We have proven that our model works in several supply chains, amongst others the cocoa, banana, and cotton. And now, with the help of the SCTA Next Gen Sustainability Contest, we are moving into the coffee supply chain and are helping the ACPCU cooperative in Uganda to also implement the program there. So let's hear from Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from SCPCU. To ship coffee, we first of all need healthy farmers to produce it.
He would have loved to be here today, but actually his wife is pregnant, so he had a bit of a conflict of interest. But let's see how this project works. So what happens is that we get a farmer list and enroll all eligible farmers into our program via our digital platform. The farmers receive a membership card, and then every time they go to a healthcare provider, the healthcare provider provides treatment and then sends the bill to the Elucid platform. And we then pay them back. And the impact can be tracked on the dashboard that you've just seen. You now may wonder, what are the actual KPIs behind this? So the impact extends well beyond health. We expect around 50% of the people to seek care every year. And this has a great impact on the resilience of the household, because we see higher available income because of prevention of cost, we see reduced poverty, and fewer sick days, which increases productivity. And now you may wonder, well, who pays for this, and how can it be sustainable in the long term? Well, the health program costs around €7 per person per year. If you're asking farmers now, well, okay, pay for it, they're likely to say no. Not necessarily because they don't want it, but because a lot of programs have failed in the past. But with the help of the SCTA funding, we will show them it works in the first year. And we then see that the willingness to pay actually increases in the first and second year. So the SCTA funding will act as a kickoff investment to set up the program, to enroll the healthcare providers, and to make sure we collect the baseline data to then measure the impact. As the program progresses, the health premium costs are handed over to the farmers through the sustainability premium or also in-kind contribution for beans. By now, we've already handed over 2 programs and are currently handing over the 3rd program since our inception in 2022. And why are coffee partners willing to pay? Because for every $1 they invest, they actually get $5 back. And how? As I said, because it reduces sick days, it reduces the mortality, and it increases the productivity of the farmers. And after all, health is a human right for you, for me, and for the coffee farmers you work with. And it's also the right thing to do, because healthy farmers are stronger farmers. So let's fuel the future of coffee for farming communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely. So that was Luisa from Uganda. We now hand over, we go over to the South American continent. We go to Colombia. Also here, we are going to see a small video, a short video, 1 minute. And then we have Marcela from Local Partners telling us a little bit more about her project.
We are Fundación Local Partners. We believe in the potential of private actors as a crucial engine for sustainable rural prosperity. With this project, we will explore, document, and measure the impacts of using biofactories as catalysts for the transformation to regenerative agriculture. We will identify the most effective and scalable strategies for smallholder coffee farmers by analyzing agronomic, economic, and environmental outcomes. As part of this initiative, we will build an advanced biofactory on a coffee farm in Caldas, Colombia. This facility will produce organic fertilizers and biocontrol agents to revitalize soil health and increase productivity and profitability. We work with more than 30,000 small coffee farmers throughout Colombia. Using the results and lessons from this pilot project, we will transfer knowledge to foster continuous improvement in the regenerative practices and fuel the future of sustainable coffee farming.
Okay, good afternoon to all. I'm Marcela Jaramillo, and I'm part of the sustainability team of Fundación Local Partners, a non-profit organization based in Colombia that works with around, as the video told you, 30,000 coffee farmers around Colombia. We try to improve their living conditions through technical advice, access to projects, education, training, and as part of all of it, we are also part of a business group led by Café Export, bringing all those coffee farmers the access to a supply chain and also to a market to sell. At the heart of our work, we are a diverse team with different range of expertise: agronomists, engineers, economists, and also sustainability specialists that bring different perspectives and solutions into the table. This allows us not only to design innovative projects, but also prove, implement, and operate them on the ground, always keeping the farmer's need on the center. Our collective knowledge ensures we're tackling challenges from multiple angles and providing world solutions that can be lasting difference in the lives of coffee-growing families around the country. Over the past years, we've partnered with organizations such as Sucafina, Nespresso, Starbucks, IDH, SECO, KDP, working on sustainability programs and project development for Colombian coffee farming. And today, I'm excited to introduce you our proposal, Regenerative Transformation through Biofactories. As we all spoke and we all listened this morning, regenerative agriculture has an immense potential, but there is also a huge gap in solid data and its long-term benefits. Particularly in the context of Colombia coffee farming, our coffee growers, mostly small-scale farmers, face a series of challenges. They are directly affected by climate change, soil degradation, and economic instability. They also have access to the necessary bioinputs, like organic fertilizers, is inconsistent and also expensive for them. Farmers also lack knowledge of regenerative agriculture, and sometimes they also fear change. Our project aims to establish a biofactory model, as you saw in the video, for regenerative agriculture in a coffee farm in Caldas, Colombia. But what is a biofactory? It's a facility that produces organic inputs such as fertilizers, biopesticides, biocontrollers. These inputs help enhance soil fertility and biodiversity, promote reliance on synthetic inputs, which constantly are harmful and costly. The adoption of these practices, we will focus the adoption of these practices in 4 different activities. The first one, producing agromineral formulation for fertilizer based on vermicompost. The second one will be fungi reproduction for pest control, as Beauveria bassiana, metarrhizum for coffee berry butter control. Also the reproduction of transitional shade crops as Strepsirrhosia. And last, bioherbicide formulation based on the water resulting from the wet milling process. These biofactories will cut costs for farmers by providing locally produced, affordable bioinputs, ensure a reliable supply of these inputs, so that the regenerative practice can be performed in the farm. This also will improve soil health, increase biodiversity, and sequester carbon, which also helps us mitigate climate change. With these biofactories, we hope that coffee growers will have the tools to practice sustainable agriculture without the high cost of imported inputs, as I mentioned before. This initiative will empower communities by creating local jobs and fostering collaboration, because what we hope to do is that once we transfer the knowledge to the farmers, they can also transfer it to their peers. Supports the farmers to protect Colombia landscape and biodiversity, while securing the economic viability of all the farmers that we have through Colombia, and turns the farm into a force of good. I also heard this phrase early in this morning, benefiting both the environment and the future generations to come. Our purpose is clear. We're acting today to fuel the future. This project will transform the lives of hundreds of Colombian coffee farmers, ensuring a brighter future for their children and securing the coffee supply chain for generations to come. I invite you all to be part of this initiative and make a long-lasting impact in Colombian agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcela. That was wonderful. We stay on the continent. Carol Hemmings from TechnoServe is going to tell us more. She's representing, as I said, TechnoServe and I hope I'm not butchering the name, a very special plant called vetiver. Is that,
right.
is that okay?
That's correct.
Wonderful. Okay. But first of all, just like with the others, we're going to see a very quick video.
In Peru, coffee is the main source of income for thousands of families. But coffee processing has a significant environmental impact, with Peruvian farmers using more than 11 million litres of water to process their coffee each year. Traditionally, the coffee wastewater that is produced during pulping is stored in soak pits, which pose risks to waterways and human and animal health. Smallholder farmers were looking for a more sustainable, affordable, and efficient solution. Learning from TechnoServe's initiative in Ethiopia, in 2019, TechnoServe's Peru coffee team worked with coffee farmers to pilot the construction of vetiver grass wetlands. This nature-based solution is simple to install, costs less than half of traditional methods, and protects people, waterways, and biodiversity, ensuring a sustainable future for farmers.
Okay. So it's a pleasure to be here representing our team in Peru. So I'm going to start our pitch where the video ended, and that's basically with our farmers. So because a solution only works if it works for the farmers. Emilia, who you see here, is a coffee grower in a small village in northern Peru. She has just 2 hectares of coffee and has lived in that community with her family, farming coffee for more than 40 years. Farmers in northern Peru and in many parts of the world face the same challenge: how to process their coffee in a sustainable way. So, as you heard in the video, farmers in Peru use more than 11 million liters of water a year to wash their coffee, producing acidic wastewater with high organic content. This is a sustainability problem that you don't really hear about. The majority of farmers don't treat their wastewater, discharging it either onto the ground, which then can run into streams and rivers. So Emilia was one of those farmers. She explained there was a lot of contamination, many flies, and a bad smell. But farmers like Emilia don't do this because they're indifferent. They just don't have a solution to their problem. The best option before our project was a sedimentation pond. So like the picture you see on the right, this contains sand and gravel. They're expensive to build, they're quite expensive to maintain, but also they can become breeding grounds for disease-carrying insects, they're a danger to children, and they often overflow during peak season, causing exactly the problem we're trying to prevent. So, what was our proposal? Our proposal basically presents a solution that's better for the environment and for farmers. It's innovative, but it's not fancy. So I even have some grass with me. So let me introduce, free handouts afterwards, let me introduce vetiver, for those of you who have never heard of this grass. So it's an incredible grass, basically. I'm going to have to put it down again. Yeah, you can model it for me, thank you. It has been used for thousands of years by farmers in India. It's fast-growing, it's perennial, and its massive deep roots make it perfect for fighting soil erosion. And it turns out these same qualities, combined with high tolerance to pollutants, make it absolutely an ideal grass for filtering and absorbing coffee wastewater. So we first implemented these wetlands with centralized mills in Ethiopia. Then under the CAFE program in Peru, supported by USAID and JDE Peats, we tested to see whether we could have a scaled-down version that would work for farmers like Emilia. So it turns out that it does work. Water quality testing shows that even a small wetland like the one you see on the screen, which is about 12 meters square, planted by farmers, effectively eliminates water contamination. The wetlands are super easy to maintain. The farmers cut the grass twice a year and can use those cuttings as coffee mulch, so you've got this nice regenerative and cyclical system. And then it's said, although I can't vouch for this, that a vetiver clump will last 100 years. But most importantly, it's cost effective. It costs way less than $100 to build. It will last for a very, very long time, and it's much cheaper than those sedimentation ponds that really don't work very well. So, Emilia planted a vetiver wetland, and she was thrilled with the results. You can see her quote here. Basically, she no longer has contamination, and there's no longer wastewater just discharged to the ground and running into the rivers. So with your help, we can bring this solution to many, many more farmers like Emilia and embed it into Peru's coffee ecosystem. The funding from SCTA will enable us to directly train and support at least 100 coffee farmers, at least half of those will be women, and to construct the vetiver wetlands. But maybe more importantly, we want to build the capacity of the producer and government organizations and the private sector within Peru to train farmers themselves to build these wetlands. There's around 200,000 farmers, in Peru. So we will document the training content to ensure it can be replicated consistently by others working in Peru and any other coffee countries. So with your support, we can empower hundreds or perhaps thousands of farmers just like Emilia to become stewards for their environment and create a more sustainable coffee industry. Let's see vetiver fueling the future for sustainability. Go vetiver. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. That's exciting. We could have passed that around a little bit so we can get, or at the end of the session, come and
in
feel...
the entire room, or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
wonderful.
It will survive in this country as well.
Thank you all. 3 phenomenal finalists. I'm sure the decision and the voting is going to be really, really difficult. What we wanted to do is just open up a little bit to Q&A. I think you can use the app to fire questions to Max so that we can also pass those on to the finalists. But just before we do that, I mean, I'll just kind of ask each of you to respond to a couple of questions. I know Max has got some other questions he'd like to come into each project. First of all, thank you for introducing the conference theme of fueling the future into all of your presentations. Nicely done. But I suppose I'd like to ask each of you in turn just to kind of give us a sense, bearing in mind that there's a subtext to that, which is that there are new demands in the market on the coffee sector. How is the work that you're doing fueling the future by responding to those demands, whether that's consumer need or regulation or sustainability in different ways? So I'll do it that way first, and then I'm going to come back with the second question the other way. So, Carol, if I can start with you, please. Could you tell us a bit how you're fueling the future?
Okay. I mean, I think obviously sustainability is a really key consideration at the moment. We heard a number of our panelists, or all of our panelists, talking about it this morning, and how important it's becoming for consumers to see their coffee sustainably produced. As I mentioned, I think this wastewater problem it's a problem that's not talked about, and it is a solvable problem. So at the moment, we see in many countries during the harvest season, the water is just polluting the rivers, and those rivers are relied on by communities for feeding their cattle, for watering their other crops. So I think, it is a problem that's not talked about. It should be talked about more. So I think with vetiver, it will grow in all of the coffee growing countries, right? So I think vetiver is an incredible solution for the future of sustainable coffee.
Brilliant. Thanks, Carol. Louisa, how would you see it?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think it's quite easy to answer for us because if farmers are not healthy, they cannot take care of their plants, of their farm, of their household, in general, of their livelihood. So without healthy farmers, there's not really a future to the coffee supply chain because eventually there will be none. So I think by alleviating the health burden costs that the farmers bear when falling ill, they're able to invest into their farm, they're able to invest into education, and they can take care of the household resilience because they can plan for medical costs. So I think overall it's quite clear, only if you're healthy, like for all of us, you can contribute to the economies.
Yeah, makes sense. Good. Marcela?
Okay, from my side, your previous conversation this morning, one of our main concerns should be like climate change, And as long as we try to mitigate it, we will have sustainability in our supply chain, and we will secure that we have farmers throughout the whole world producing coffee. So as long as we try to find out the best ways to apply those practices, we're fueling the future.
Yeah, great. I'm going to stay with you, if I may, and then we'll just go back and work along the row. I think that if we think about these kinds of projects, which are often quite difficult to get off the ground and get some momentum, what is the achievement that you're the proudest of in the development of this project, and what has been the toughest challenge?
The thing is, we're starting with it. Yeah. We're just arranging all the infrastructure to have all the infrastructure to start to produce those 4 actions that I mentioned.
Yeah.
I think the most challenging thing will be all the follow-up and the scientific part of the study, because what we want to do is really analyze and have numbers so we can translate them to the farmers.
Yep.
And then the easiest way is easy, but we have a lot of people in the field, and I think that people that are in contact with the farmers will help us to reproduce all the information that we are
Yeah, and it's an important point. And obviously, the more concrete and accurate that data is, the more that you can talk about it from a compliance point of view. But the more it helps some of the intermediaries in the value chain to achieve their KPIs. You know, as you mentioned, a few of the partners that you're working with. Great, thank you. Louisa, what are you really proud of? What's a great achievement that you've made here? But what are you still wrestling with?
Yeah, I think our greatest achievement, what we see also now, is that the programs we've started in Ghana, in Ecuador, Madagascar, Venezuela, we see that they're really scaling within the country within no time, because there's such a high need that comes directly from the farmers that we almost cannot serve everyone at the same time because the demand is so high. So we see there's really like strong commitment from the farming communities, people trying to sign up even if they're not necessarily part of the initial program.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're very proud of, and within like 2 years we've scaled to some of our clients' entire supply chain in Ghana and in Cote d'Ivoire.
Fantastic.
And I think that's also a challenge to some extent, because we do create a little bit of a competitiveness in the country. Because of course farmers who are neighboring, they would also like to be part of the program that maybe someone else is implementing. So they are maybe looking into, is this person offering the health program? Should I maybe deliver it to them instead? So what we're really trying to achieve is to do a pre-competitive approach where suppliers and also roasters can come together and implement together to overcome the kind of challenge in the country where farmers would switch cooperatives because they want to be part of the program.
Understood. Yeah, interesting. Carol, over to you.
Proudest moment, I think, or proudest of the project, I think, is actually seeing the change in the rivers. Like, you used to drive over the bridge and you could literally, during the harvest season, smell this terrible smell of wastewater, fermenting wastewater, and now you can cross the bridge and the river's clean, it doesn't smell. So I think that's definitely the proudest moment. I think most challenging, I think actually, to be honest, for the vetiver projects, it's been the access to the vetiver. It's been actually having enough vetiver for farmers to plant. Okay, so the way we've overcome that is to get the producer organizations to put in vetiver nurseries, because it doesn't grow from seed. You have to split it. Oh, right. So each of these is a clump that you plant. So getting the production of these so that there's enough for the farmers to plant is probably been the biggest challenge. Got it. But it is manageable.
It's manageable through nurseries. Yeah. Fantastic, thank you. Max, I know you've got some questions. There may be some questions coming through from the audience as well, so over to you.
Exactly. We received a number of questions from the audience already through the app. If somebody here wants to engage in a direct conversation, a tete-a-tete, we have a microphone as well that we can pass around. If somebody has a question, please raise their hand. Otherwise, we'll start with the questions from the app. I'll go a little bit more specific into the projects, so coming down from a macro more into a micro perspective. So starting with you, you're sitting next to me, so let's do it. The question is we received, is a biofactory a new concept, or has this been done before? If so, if it has been done before, what were you able to learn from the other example?
Okay. Actually, we've been promoting some kinds of biofactory. A biofactory can be a wide range of activities. For example, the compost pits that we promote to our farmers to have a good disposal of the pulp, it can be or can turn into a compost pit, into a organic material as a production of a biofactory. So yes, a lot of people, mainly I know Colombian coffee growing, so they do have an idea of how to do it. But what we want to do is like the perfect recipe, you know? Because sometimes, again, with the example of the coffee pulp and the transformation as organic material, they do know that and sometimes they throw it and they think that it's okay, but no, it needs some time. Sometimes if you add some kind of microorganisms, it will get really better and strong. So that's why, yes, they exist. What we want to try is to make the perfect recipe for them.
Great. Good luck with this. Louisa, to be part of Alucid, you need to be a coffee farmer. Is that correct, give or take?
Any kind of farmer, yeah.
Good, yeah. Do you see actual potential in the program to promote coffee farming as it would give access to healthcare insurance?
Yes, I mean, we do see this happening in other countries, in the cocoa supply chain. We see it also now in the vanilla supply chain in Madagascar. There is definitely potential. I think it's very attractive. It increases the loyalty of the farmers to the cooperative or union or in which concept they work in. And I think it also provides an extra incentive because it really serves a need where they know they would spend money on it anyway, so they can protect this money and invest it into the farm and maybe start a business with this.
So you're sorry, just a backup question, a follow-up question is, it's working in different places as well?
Exactly, so it's working in the cocoa supply chain, the banana supply chain, and we're spread across now 4 countries, moving into 3 new countries in 2025, so yeah.
Fantastic. Over to TechnoServe, over to you, Carol. Apart from the environmental aspect, which is a very important one, what advantages do you see for farmers using the vetiver plant?
As I mentioned, you can use it, cut it for mulch, so it has a great value there. In Ethiopia, we've seen it really increases biodiversity. In Ethiopia, we have hyenas living in our vetiver wetlands, which is pretty cool. So I think definitely, I mean, it's a nature-based solution, right? And I think the other thing is it's a very long-term solution. Once you've built these wetlands, they just don't have to really worry about their wastewater anymore.
So you keep them as is?
So you just cut it twice a year. And as I say, those cuttings go as mulch. You can use it for feeding cattle. So vetiver itself has a huge number of functions. You can use it for erosion control.
And its origins were in India, you were mentioning,
It's from
right?
India,
okay.
yeah.
Okay,
So
very well.
Do I answer the question?
Yeah. No, of course, exactly. I think we're
getting close to time.
We're going to close.
I know you had a couple of questions. I mean, it might be, I think, great questions. Thank you, and great answers. I think it might be useful just to explain to everybody what happens next and the voting process one more time to make sure everybody is.
There's a question.
Yeah. Oh, so we've got a question.
There is a
here.
question.
Do we need the microphone? Do we have the
question.
microphone? Here we go. Yeah, we might need your microphone. Yeah. So that everyone can hear you. Thank you. If you could just tell us who you are, that would be great.
Yes.
You can stand up as well if you're not too embarrassed just to stand in front of everybody. Thank you.
Hello? Okay. Hi, my name is Sandra. I'm a coffee producer from Nicaragua, and I love the 3 projects.
Great.
But about the vetiver, I think it's you can in Nicaragua you can find it anywhere, so it's very easy. It's cheap. But the certifications programs, do they already? Because it's amazing, but what if RFA and all the other stuff?
Great question. Yeah, how does that work with the certification? Yeah.
That is a great question, and that's exactly what the Peru team ran into when they first started to implement these wetlands. Basically, originally the certification said, but that's not on our list. We don't have vetiver wetlands on the list. So it is now, I'm sure there's someone from Rainforest here, it is now approved by Rainforest Alliance at least, and I would call on all you other sustainability programs to approve it as well. So fantastic question, and thank you for bringing that up. And the vetiver is yours if you want it.
That's bribing, I think, but okay.
It's grown during the panel. Yeah. So, Max, if we could just thank you for that question. Max, if we just come back and just kind of remind everyone what they need to do now, what happens next, and what happens tomorrow evening, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. So we call on you. You guys have to vote. Please go on the app, go into the program that you're seeing, and scroll all the way down. The closing or the voting closes today at 6 o'clock. So don't be late. It actually closes at 6 o'clock. There is no late coming at 10, whatever. Oh, can you please open it? No, 6 o'clock sharp. And then tomorrow during the dinner, the winner is going to be announced, just like we've seen. Looking like penguins on the first video. That is happening tomorrow again.
Very Hollywood, actually.
Oh.
Really good.
Discuss that later, yeah. But exactly, this is happening then tomorrow. And we're very excited then to announce the winner of the 2024 Sustainability Contest.
Fantastic. I've got a couple more comments I want to make, but I think, first of all, a round of applause to all of these fantastic finalists. And good luck. I think you're all winners, but looking forward to the reveal tomorrow evening. Thank you. Just before you leave the room, as we close this one, I'd just like to say a big thanks to the SCTA Next Gen Council. I think this is great. This has got real energy. I think this is a brilliant program. Thanks, Judith. Thanks, Max, for all of the hard work. And I know there's a bigger team involved, so that's brilliant.
Colleagues involved.
And
Exactly.
I don't know all of their names, unfortunately,
Yeah,
but either you now say who they all are.
Okay, sure. So we've Judith, of course. We have Loic sitting next to Judith. We have Abi working on it as well. Jamie and Sarah. And throughout the year, we had some changes. So Artur, Ayel, and Cheyenne as well.
Great. Well, to all of you, thank you. Yeah. The more regularly I come back to this event, the younger the next gen seems. I think that's the way it works. So, but I'd also like to thank the sponsors once again. I think there's a QR code for those organizations who like what they see here, want to get involved in some of these projects, and would like to join in and participate and sponsor future events. Please do get in touch. I'm just looking ahead now to the agenda for the rest of the afternoon. Towards the back end of the afternoon and evening, it seems to be quite an interesting selection of different alcoholic beverages. You have an espresso martini hour coming up at 4 o'clock. Does clash slightly with an apero on EUDR, for those of you who missed maybe on lunchtime the opportunity to dig deeper into that. And that culminates in a cocktail reception at the Volkshaus. All of this is on the app, just follow that. And before that, there is another panel which kicks off here in about 15 minutes or so, and that is on the logistics crisis, which we've discussed a few times since COVID, and we're asking a very interesting question, which is it over or not? So we've got some fantastic panelists. Look forward to welcoming you back then. In the meantime, enjoy your coffee and see you soon. Thank you to the panelists.
Where secrets hide, a heart beats softly with feeling time.